Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah Lynn, and this is a little slice of my life. Everything from books and bullet journaling to my journey to becoming a more intentional person. Today though, I want to talk about some books. I have a little haul here from my local library. They are doing a really cool thing where they are giving you mystery books, so stick around. So, as you guys know, I love to do unboxings on this channel, but if you've been sticking around with me for a little while, or maybe follow me on Instagram, you might notice that I am trying to move towards being a little more intentional. I'm gonna do a video about this soon and what intentionality and minimalism and decluttering and all of this kind of means to me and what it's adding to my life. So definitely subscribe if you want to check that out. But in the meantime, I've kind of thought about what this means for the unboxings that I really like to do on this channel, and I don't think they're going to go away. I think that I just am going to be a little bit more mindful of the boxes that I'm picking for my subscriptions. I'm not going to be jumping into an annual subscription with a box anymore, just to get that sweet, sweet discount. But one thing I definitely can do is a library haul, because obviously these books are borrowed. They're going to go back to the library and other people can enjoy them for the life of the book. So one of the things that I really love about doing like subscription box unboxings though is that surprise element. So when my library announced that they were doing these like mystery book bundles, I screamed. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I love being surprised. I love like getting a bundle of things that I can kind of unwrap, and it's like Christmas and you get to be surprised. You don't know necessarily exactly what you're going to get. And I really find that to be very fun. For me, it's not just about the stuff. It's about how I'm getting that stuff. I don't know. Does that make sense? Whatever. It's the experience of receiving the stuff. It's the experience of the surprise and the unknown and kind of exploring that unknown. Maybe I'm getting a little too deep for a little library mystery book haul, but bear with me. What they did was, not everyone's gonna get the same mystery bundle. You fill out this little form and you say how many books you want. I think it's up to like 6 books. What kinds of books you want. I did a mix of adult and young adult. I think they actually offer all kinds of things. You could do movies, games, whatever. And then you tell them a little bit about the genres that you like and some of the books that you've read or authors that you like. And I think that's really cool. And they did a pretty good job curating the books that I got. But I'm going to tell you first, before I show you the books that I got, exactly what it was that I requested. So for genre, I said fiction or nonfiction is fine. I said young adult, thriller, or contemporary. And I also mentioned feminist memoirs, humorous memoirs, mental health, and Buddhism, because these are all books that I really, really enjoy. And then I also went on to tell them some of the books that I read last year that I really liked. So these were Ayesha at Last, Pieces of Her, Sarah J. Maas books, of course, and also The Sun is Also a Star. So these were the parameters that I gave my library, and they went ahead and one of the librarians curated this little bundle of 4 books for me. So let's go ahead and take a look at the books. So the first book they gave me is Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. I am reading this book right now and I absolutely love it. So it's funny, when I first got this book bundle, and I'm filming this way later than I got the book bundle, but when I first got it, I was like, oh, I've never read Pride and Prejudice. Maybe I should read that before I read a book that's kind of like a retelling of that story. So I went ahead and read Pride and Prejudice, which I loved. I thought it was hilarious. It was very like snarky and cheeky, but polite and kind of highbrow, which I just found it was an utter delight. So anyway, I'm reading this book now, and I am super, super loving it. It follows this woman, Trisha, who is a doctor. She is a neurosurgeon, and she is put to work with this man, DJ, who is catering a family event. They need to plan the event together. They do not get along. When they first met, they butted heads, and they really just like, it kind of escalated from there. Very similar to, our first impressions with the Darcy relationship in Pride and Prejudice. And it's funny, actually, DJ's first name in this book is Darcy, but he goes by DJ. So anyway, they're butting heads. They're kind of getting to know each other, but through this lens of not getting along. And it's that classic enemies to friends, well, enemies to lovers kind of story. But one thing that I really like about this, besides just, this beautiful retelling of Pride and Prejudice, is that there's a lot of modern elements to it that the author weaves in very, very well. There's not just like prejudice as we saw it in Pride and Prejudice, based on wealth and how people act, but we're also getting prejudice based on race and skin tone and actual colorism. We have this Indian woman who doesn't necessarily recognize her privilege as a lighter skinned and very wealthy woman of color, and she's kind of at odds with this black man DJ who came from poverty and has always had to kind of work against the way that the world was treating him based on being a black man with dark skin. So it's a really interesting way that she's kind of retold this classic tale. And I, again, am absolutely loving it. I am plowing through this book. All of the characters are phenomenal. And the descriptions of food in this book. I love Indian food. It's one of my favorite cuisines. And oh my God, I am hungry all the time when I'm reading this. So keep that in mind if you decide that you want to pick this one up. So the next book that I got is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid Kemmerer. So this one, wow, I never noticed that the cover is just really cool. So this I actually read this one first, and I quite enjoyed it, but I did have a couple of issues with it that I'm going to talk about in a minute. In short, this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. We have this prince, Prince Ren. He's been cursed by the witch. I don't actually remember if they talked about why he got cursed. I'm sure they did. Oh, yes. So she tried to seduce him and he was like, nah. Anyway, so he ends up getting cursed and he has to relive his 18th year. And towards the end of the year, he turns into this beast that kills everyone. And then it resets. But the kicker is the people that he has killed do not come back. The only way to break the curse is to fall in love. So again, we've got Beauty and the Beast, very basic there. But with some interesting new additions. Beauty and the Beast, at least as I remember it, was not quite so murderous. And then we've got Harper, who is this New York City, I think, modern day girl, and she gets transformed or transferred into this world through a portal from Prince Ren's friend. He grabs her and brings her back to the world. And she's very kind of tough and pig-headed, and I love that about her. She's just a no-nonsense. Why would you bring me here? This is nonsense. I don't want to live in a fairy tale. You're also very mean. And it's a very interesting story. And again, this one kind of the traditional Beauty and the Beast that we all know follows that same enemies to lovers timeline. So I wonder if the library thought that was my favorite romance trope. I don't know. But anyway, so one of the interesting things about this book is that Harper has CP, cerebral palsy. And I have mixed feelings about this. I love that the author is trying to get some more heroines that are not traditional able-bodied people. However, every part of the story could be an able-bodied person. I think that the only parts of this disability that really manifest for our main character are like a bit of a limp that's talked about once or twice. So to me, it almost seems like a checkbox that the author was trying to check for diversity. But I don't know. Again, I have mixed feelings. I am an able-bodied person myself, so if people within that community find this representation to be cool and awesome and, something that they enjoy, then that's great, and I love that. But for me, I wasn't sure if it was genuine. The next book we have here is Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. So this book I have not started yet. It is on my TBR, and I don't know very much about it, so I'm actually going to just read for you guys the cover. But it is a mystery. It looks very thrillery. The tagline at the bottom under the cover, or under the title, Two Can Keep a Secret, is If One is Dead. So it sounds very thrillery and very exciting. Echo Ridge is small town America. Ellery's never been there, but she's heard all about it. Her aunt went missing there at age 17, and only 5 years ago, a homecoming queen put the town on the map when she was killed. Now, Ellery has to move there to live with a grandmother she barely knows. The town is picture perfect, but it's hiding secrets, aren't they always? And before school even begins for Ellery, someone declares open season on homecoming, promising to make it as dangerous as it was 5 years ago. Then, almost as if to prove it, another girl goes missing. Ellery knows all about secrets. Her mother has them, her grandmother does too. And the longer she's in Echo Ridge, the clearer it becomes that everyone there is hiding something. The thing is, secrets are dangerous, and most people aren't good at keeping them, which is why in Echo Ridge, it's safest to keep your secrets to yourself. This tells me so little about this book, but it has me intrigued. So this says that it is a mystery, so I'm assuming mystery thriller. We're obviously going to be trying to find out, who is stealing these girls. I can't quite tell if Ellery is a young adult that might be going to one of these homecomings where she could be, kidnapped. It looks like that is the case. So this is what seems to be a young adult thriller mystery, which sounds very cool. So again, that one is next up on my list. Okay, and the last book in my mystery library bundle is Sabriel by Garth Nix. I'll be honest, I just read the back cover of this. I hadn't looked too far into it, but wow, there's a lot going on here. It sounds like zombies and magic, and there's like a cat who sounds awesome. And like a boarding school. So this is a whole lot of things. And it sounds like it is probably another young adult story. I have not touched this one yet. I think this one might end up going back to the library for now. But I'm going to go ahead and read this back cover to you because it sounds really interesting. Sent to a boarding school as a young child, Sabriel has had little experience with the random power of free magic, or the dead who refuse to stay dead in the Old Kingdom. But during her final semester, her father, the Abhorsen, goes missing, and Sabriel knows she must enter the Old Kingdom to find him. She soon finds companions in Mugget, a cat whose aloof manner barely conceals its malevolent spirit, and Touchstone, a young charter mage long imprisoned by magic, now free in body but still trapped by painful memories. As the three travel deep into the Old Kingdom, threats mount on all sides, and every step brings them closer to a battle that will pit them against the true forces of life and death, and bring Sabriel face to face with her own destiny. So this sounds very cool. It is the first book in a trilogy, and it sounds like a very hero's journey, traditional fantasy, we're going on an adventure to throw the ring in the volcano or to find the dragon across the countryside or whatever the actual fantasy adventure is. But I'm very interested that this is a female protagonist, which sounds very cool. And she does sound young-ish, not very young, but late adolescence. Also, very into that cat sidekick. So those are the 4 books that I got from my library's mystery book bundle. If you guys want to hear my reviews, you can always go and friend me on Goodreads. I have a link down below. Again, I quite enjoyed Curse So Dark and Lonely, and I am really loving Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors. So head on over to my Goodreads and, you might see what I think of these last 2 books before they go back to the library, or maybe someday down the line in the future. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with me, and I hope to see you soon in my next video. Until then, you don't have to be perfect, but be intentional.